Bethlehem, 1010 BC. A prophet has arrived at your father's house. His name is Samuel. He is the most powerful religious figure in Israel. Kings are made and unmade by his word. He traveled here from Ramah, carrying a flask of oil, and your father, a sheep farmer named Jesse, has no idea what to do with him. Samuel says he has come to see Jesse's sons, so Jesse does what any father would do. He lines them up. 7 of them. Eliab first. He is tall, broad through the shoulders, the kind of man who stops a room just by walking into it. Samuel looks at him and thinks, "This is the one." God says, "No." He moves to the 2nd, then the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. 7 sons, 7 rejections. Samuel turns to Jesse. "Are these all your boys?" Jesse pauses. "There is one more, but nobody called him in. He is out in the field. He has been there since before dawn, watching the sheep. That is the boy God wants. His name is David. He is 16. He has spent his entire life outdoors, the Judean hills, exposed to everything they carry. He doesn't know he is about to become king. He also, according to every written record we have, looked extraordinary." If you want to see more videos like this, biblical figures, real science, actual protocols, subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment. Which of the 4 things we covered today are you already doing? What I want to show you is that David wasn't trying to look good. He was just fully alive in the environment his job demanded. And by the end, you'll have 4 specific inputs you can start this week that replicate what he was doing. Part 1. The field. The Judean highlands are not gentle. Limestone ridges, dry riverbeds, exposed to the sun from one edge of the day to the other. In summer, the heat is relentless. In winter, the wind comes off the desert and cuts through everything you're wearing. David has been working in this terrain since he was old enough to hold a staff. The job is simple: keep the flock alive. That means covering miles every day across broken ground, carrying what he needs on his back, sleeping under open sky when the sheep don't settle before dark. There is no rest day. If a sheep breaks from the flock, you go after it. If a predator moves in from the tree line, you move toward it, not away. He has already killed a lion, grabbed it by the jaw, and beat it to death with his hands. He has already killed a bear. He is 16 years old. There is no program behind this. No coach, no split routine, no mirror to check his progress. What he has is a landscape that demands something from him every single day, whether he is ready or not. He wakes before first light. He eats what the season gives: bread, dried figs, water from the cistern. He moves. He carries. He watches. He sleeps when it gets dark. And inside that rhythm, without naming it, without tracking it, he is building something. The ancient record stops to describe him in terms almost no other figure in the Old Testament receives: glowing with health, striking to look at, beautiful eyes. These are not things ancient texts bothered to document. Kings are recorded by their conquests, generals by their campaigns. The fact that 3 separate sources paused to note what David looked like suggests it was genuinely hard to ignore. Modern science has a word for what he was doing. He just didn't know he was doing it. Part 2. The protocol. Let's be specific about what David's days actually looked like, because each element maps almost exactly to what the most expensive men's health clinics in the world are now selling back at $300 a month. David was outside from before dawn until after dark, every day, for years. Not 10 minutes of morning light. The full arc of the Judean sun, unfiltered, hitting exposed skin across the entire working day. Here is what that does. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It is a steroid hormone. It binds directly to the receptors in the cells that produce testosterone. A study out of the Medical University of Graz tracked 2,299 men over 8 years and found that men with sufficient vitamin D had dramatically higher testosterone levels than those who were deficient. The deficient group wasn't sick. They were just modern. They worked inside. David was never inside. But that is only half of what the sun was doing. The low-angle light of the first hour after sunrise hits the retina and calibrates the internal clock that governs every hormonal rhythm in your body. When that clock runs on real daylight, cortisol peaks correctly in the morning, drops correctly by evening, and testosterone surges correctly during deep sleep. David's body was running on perfect time. Modern men pay for gym memberships to simulate what David did as the baseline requirement of his job. 5 to 10 miles a day across broken limestone terrain, uneven ground, uphill, downhill, carrying equipment. This is not a workout. It is load-bearing locomotion, and it hits the posterior chain, the hips, the stabilizers, and the cardiovascular system in ways a treadmill does not replicate. When he wasn't walking, he was throwing. A shepherd's sling is not a novelty. It is a working tool. The rotational mechanics of a sling throw engage the entire kinetic chain, hips, core, shoulder, wrist, repeated thousands of times over years until it becomes automatic. He wasn't training for Goliath. He was doing his job. He was not tracking anything. What he had was lamb, dried figs, whole grain bread, olive oil, and water. That is nearly the full list. Lamb is one of the highest natural sources of zinc in any traditional diet. Zinc is the rate-limiting mineral for testosterone synthesis. Without it, the enzymatic pathway slows down. Most modern men are mildly deficient, not because zinc is rare, because the food that contains it has been replaced. No seed oils, no refined sugar, no engineered food designed to override satiety. David ate what was available, stopped when he was full, and kept moving. And low inflammation shows up on your face. It was dark. No artificial light extending his cortisol past midnight. No screen holding him awake in a second wind. The sun dropped, the temperature fell, and his body followed. The largest pulse of growth hormone your body releases in a 24-hour period happens in the first 90 minutes of deep sleep. Testosterone is synthesized in the dark. Collagen repair happens in the dark. The physical expression of a healthy endocrine system is largely built at night, and it requires the system to have been calibrated by real light during the day. David had both sides of the equation, completely by accident. And then Samuel showed up, looked at 7 impressive men, and chose the one who had been living outside. Part 3. The Palace. David doesn't stay in the field. He never gets to. Samuel pours the oil, the Spirit of God rushes over him, and within months he is standing inside Saul's court, playing a harp to calm a king who is losing his mind. Then he is in the valley, facing a 9-foot soldier that the entire Israelite army has spent 40 days refusing to fight. The valley floor between them. David arriving with bread for his brothers, not armor. Running toward what everyone else won't walk toward. Then he is a general. Then he is leading armies. Sleeping in the field, campaigns across the known world. Still the shepherd, just with an army behind him. Every record from this period describes a man of extreme physical presence. Warriors pledge their lives to him on sight. He is operating at the absolute ceiling of what a human body can express. Then he stops. It is a single line in 2 Samuel chapter 11. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men, the army leaving without David. But David remained in Jerusalem. That is the line. That is where everything begins to break. He is not sick. He is not old. He is comfortable. The palace has been finished. The wars are being won by other men. He sleeps late. He walks the rooftop at dusk. He is no longer in the terrain that built him. And it is from that rooftop, in that sedentary comfort, that he sees Bathsheba and makes the worst decision of his life. The field didn't just shape how he looked, it shaped how he thought. When he left it, both things began to deteriorate. Most men today never had the field in the first place. You wake up in a building, you sit in a vehicle, you sit at a desk under fluorescent light for 8 hours. You eat food that was engineered in a laboratory to be impossible to stop eating. You stay awake until midnight under artificial light that tells your brain it is still noon. Then you wonder why your energy is low, your face looks tired, and nothing in the mirror reflects how you feel on your best days. You are living David's rooftop, without ever having lived his field. The gap between the two is not a supplement. It is not a gym membership. It is an environment. David didn't optimize. He just lived in conditions that demanded the right things from his body every single day, without exception. The question is how close you can get to those conditions without moving to the Judean highlands. Part 4. The replication. You are not going to become a shepherd, but you can reconstruct the inputs. And the research is specific enough now that you don't have to guess. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking. Not sunglasses, not behind glass. Direct light hitting the retina. 10 minutes is enough to calibrate the clock. The testosterone and growth hormone effects compound over weeks, not days. Start tomorrow. Walk on uneven ground when you can. Trails, not treadmills. The stabilizer engagement of broken terrain is not replicable on a flat rubber belt. If all you have is a neighborhood, walk it with a weighted pack. Load-bearing locomotion is the oldest form of physical development in human history. It does not require a program. Eat animal protein with zinc at its center. Lamb, beef. Not because it is trendy, because the enzymatic pathway for testosterone production requires it, and most modern diets don't provide enough. One meal a day built around a zinc-dense protein source is not a diet. It is a correction. Kill the light after dark. Not dimmed, off. The growth hormone pulse that happens in your first 90 minutes of deep sleep is the most powerful anabolic event your body runs on a daily basis. You cannot buy it. You can only stop blocking it. None of this is new. None of this is a protocol David invented. He just lived in conditions where all of it was unavoidable. Part 5. The record. Samuel looked at 7 impressive men and passed on all of them. Then he looked at a boy who had been living outside, eating simple food, moving all day, sleeping when it got dark. He said, "That one." The ancient text doesn't frame this as a physical observation. It frames it as divine recognition. But the physical description that follows is precise, glowing with health, striking to look at. The kind of presence that registers before a word is spoken. David was not trying to look like that. He was just fully alive in his environment. And his environment was asking the right things of him every day, whether he wanted it to or not. That is the thing modern men have lost. Not the protocol, the environment that makes the protocol unavoidable. You either build that environment deliberately or you live on the rooftop, comfortable, sedentary, and slowly becoming a softer version of what you could have been. David's biggest mistake wasn't Bathsheba. It was staying home.